So I have to admit something to you, and I don't know if this is just how great we are or how much I miss you or whatever, but I now just listen to old Sisters Who've Seen It episodes.
I listened to some old ones today too.
Like ones that I know are really funny, and I'm like, I kind of want to like listen to something funny, and I'm sick of my regular podcast. And it's not bad. It's not bad to re-listen. Like I don't get sick of it.
What was the most recent older one you listened to?
Oh my god, My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Oh, that's a good one. That doesn't even feel that long ago, but I guess it was. That was in November. It's so weird.
Yeah, I was just like, man, am I like a weirdo for this? But I don't care. It's so fun.
I listened to the the Saw episode.
Oh my god, you were so angry.
I feel like I thought of it because of the Fargo episode. We were talking about horror movies, and then I was like, yeah, Bridge, we watched Saw, remember? You were like, yeah.
You were so... Now that you've established this new, let's pick our own movies for this month, I feel like it was because of Saw. Like, I finally picked a scary movie, and you're like, that's it, she can't pick any movies. And then The Dark Crystal, like, took you over the edge. You're like, she doesn't know how to pick movies.
First of all, I love The Dark Crystal. It's just not a horror movie. Believe it or not, Bridget. I just thought that would be fun, and I got a good pick for later, but that'll be for later.
I can't wait.
Sisters, sisters who've seen it. We are the sisters, sisters who've seen it. Sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, shooby-dooby-doo-wop, sisters, 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 sisters. Sisters who've seen it.
Hello!
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 Welcome back, listeners.
How we doing?
How's everyone feeling? Feeling good? You looking good?
You're looking good. You are.
Staying in shape? Or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I thought of that because of basketball. I also just watched this movie.
Ooh.
Not even 2 hours ago.
Are your eyeballs red from all the tears of joy?
Oh, I cry so much.
I cried so much.
Wow, this is a really good one. I forgot how good this movie is.
I'm gonna say this might be a perfect movie.
It's really good.
And when it could hold up 21 years later.
Yeah, 21. Yeah.
So what's our movie, Kate?
Well, first, I will introduce us.
Oh, okay.
Because I forgot to do that. But that's okay. So, we are the Sisters Who've Seen It, the podcast where two sisters who are not movie critics look back on some of our favorites throughout the years through a psychological, ethical, and familial lens. I'm Katie.
I'm Bridget.
And all's fair in love and basketball. They don't really have an accent, but that was my Quincy impersonation,
yeah,
maybe?
Q. Quincy.
There's a little more Quincy than Monica, yeah.
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing. Oh, that made me cry. Oh, and what's our movie, Bridge? Because now there's been such good build-up.
Love and Basketball.
So good.
This is such a good movie. It is.
Makes me rage.
And I learned all about it, so much more than I never knew because of this podcast.
I'm so excited to hear about it.
And it just makes it cooler, and I love it. I love it. It's so good. How do we even begin? How do we begin to talk about the epicness of this movie?
I don't know. All I can say is there were many parts that I cried, and again, some parts I was like, probably shouldn't be right now, but oh well. Here we are.
Here we are. Here we are.
So good. Well, maybe we could try do synopsis.
Yeah, because...
And by we, I mean you.
Oh, I'll get after it. I have thought about how to do this, because this might be one of the longest notes I've ever taken.
You should do it by first quarter, and then its own synopsis. Second quarter, and then we'll probably just do the whole movie in movie time.
Oh, it's so good. But I have to stop myself because I'm going to go too long. But okay, I did think about an analogy. This movie is like the Twilight for basketball lovers.
Well... a Twilight fan. Respectfully disagree. But I think you're going, is it because the love angle? Is that where we're going with that?
What made Twilight... You're so angry. What made Twilight so, precedent in the scale of how many people loved it. And I think Love and Basketball has the same thing. Okay. Everybody loves this.
Okay.
It was the tension of the lovers, of, the two characters that made you just be enthralled the entire movie. So I kept thinking, this is like the Twilight for basketball lovers. And, okay, so that was my short way. Okay, I guess that's a fail. But, first quarter, Kate.
First quarter.
We meet Monica, Quincy McCall. These are the two lovers in the entire movie. And she moves in. They're 11 years old. And this is important that I read more about, and it's just brilliant, is at that time, there was not movies about middle-class Black families.
Are they supposed to be middle class?
Well, upper middle class, I guess, yeah.
Oh, because I felt like they were...
like Richies.
I did, personally, but okay.
Well, I feel like Quincy's family was, but Monica's were more upper middle class, and Quincy's were rich.
I guess. But they were direct neighbors. Wouldn't you think they would be making kind of the same income to some degree?
I guess.
Okay. I know what you mean, though.
And so that was just, I think, something that had never been done before, and it really had nothing to do with that. It had to do about Monica and how she has this love of basketball, and she is unapologetically authentic.
Mm-hmm.
She still is feminine, and you, believe the love story while being a super tomboy.
Yeah.
I know! So you just watch her and Quincy share their love of basketball and grow up. And so they go from 11 years old to the first quarter, and then it gets you to high school, second quarter, and then they kind of start to realize at the end of high school that, and they always kind of had this, kind of make fun of each other in a little flirting way, but they were always really raw and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about how much time they spent. They always just could get real quickly. And they realized they loved each other at the end of high school, which was just the sweetest scene ever. And then they realized they're both going to play basketball at USC.
Yeah, a lot of big realizations happen in 2 minutes.
Oh my God.
It's we were in love. Oh, I'm losing my virginity. By the way, we're going to the same college and we're going to be together for 4 years. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hyperspeed.
Pedal to the floor.
That's kind of the theme of this movie. Third quarter, they're in college, and so they're navigating that. And, it's not so easy. And then fourth quarter, they're just kind of finding their way because they graduate, and they're trying to figure out, can basketball still be in my life, right, outside of college? And what does that look like? And, at the end, they end up together in the most beautiful way because it's through a basketball one-on-one game.
Ugh.
Okay, you have said to me in the past that when a rom-com is more calm than rom, you love it. Can this movie push you? Because this is rom.
This is so rom.
But, it's amazing, right?
It's so good.
Oh, I knew it!
Because you know why? It's not, cheesy.
No!
It really feels like these could be real people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not we were, born to be together. And, it's not, gross like that. They're not a gross couple. They're normal when they're together. Even the getting together was believable. And then even at the end, I was like...
I know, I cried so much.
Oh my God, I was so teary.
Okay, I know I missed a lot in that. What do you think is relevant to share with the synopsis?
Well, there is also a whole subplot with, kind of the families, specifically with their parents. They each have kind of a strained relationship, you could argue. So Quincy, his dad is a former famous basketball player, and then the dad is kind of sucks the whole movie, but Quincy doesn't know he sucks until college, and then he finds out the dad was cheating on the mom, and then he hates the dad, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then with Monica, she kind of has a strained relationship with her mom because her mom is you're a girl, you should be feminine. Why do you want to play basketball? And so she's not really close with her mom for most of the movie. And then they kind of address that towards the end. And then I mean, it seems like then they kind of have somewhat of a better relationship a little bit.
Well, the mom pushed her at the end.
Yeah. Well, the mom I think was the one that made her think about what she should do.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, I know, I could cry all over again. Okay, wait, let me give you backstory on the writer. character and this whole how it came to be.
Yeah, because I don't know any of that.
Oh my god, I learned it all. Okay, so her name is Gina Prince-Bythewood, and she was a collegiate athlete. She was a
cool.
track star.
Oh.
And played basketball her whole life, and she is black, and she basically said, like, what the frig, why aren't there movies about me? I want a movie about me. And clearly is very talented, so wrote this, shopped it around everywhere for years. Everybody's like, no. A guy affiliated with Spike Lee sees it or reads it somewhere, he's affiliated with Sundance, and then boom, it goes into production. So you'll see it's produced by Spike Lee.
I did see that at the end.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, Spike.
Yes. And at the time, it was so fascinating. There's so many articles about how she had to pick this character who was Monica because she's like, I need an athlete.
Yeah.
If you give me an actor, they have to be able to be athletic. If you give me an athlete, they have to be able to act. So she basically, Sanaa Lathan,
Is it Sanaa or?
I read it's like Sinatra without the tra. So
Sanaa. Okay.
Sanaa.
I didn't know if it was Sanaa.
God, I looked this up to not screw it
I
up too.
I know some Sanaas, but I didn't know that's how it was spelled because I'm ignorant.
It was Sanaa. I literally listened
I'm
to
sorry,
the video.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
I wanted to respect how good she was.
We honestly mispronounce minimum one person's name each episode, so like if this has to be it, then fine.
But she's
I'm
such
so
a good actress.
She's so good.
You know, I get so angry at these things. You look back at all the awards and it's like she won a BET award and an NAACP, and I'm like, she should have got a Spalding Oscar or something. Like, I'm sorry. She was so talented in this. So, okay, so then the director's like all these athletes, basically, she had trying out. And she found like one who is some obscure athlete that was a collegiate athlete and was teaching that athlete to act. And then Sanaa's father, who is kind of in the movie business, knew Gina and recommended his daughter. And he's like, I understand how this looks. I'm recommending my daughter, but like, she's good. Now, she went to like USC and she went to Yale for her master's. Like, she is so beyond accredited. But so she had never played basketball in her life, and she worked her off to like learn how to play. How good was she at basketball?
Yeah, because there were shots where it was like, oh, this isn't a cut or like a stunt double. Like, I see your face and I'm watching the ball leave your hand and you're still in the frame and I'm watching it whoop through the hoop. That's like insane.
They were preparing for a stunt double, but she worked so hard, they're like, we don't need a stunt double. That's
so
how
cool.
Incredible. She was committed. And then the even crazier part is she and Omar Epps had a little love affair but didn't tell anyone.
A love and basketball affair.
Basketball affair. So they didn't tell the director because the director would have been like, they were nervous. The director would have been like, So they kind of like waited, but that's what made their chemistry so great.
Oh.
And it got more and more intense as the movie went on because they were like really, really dating.
Okay, but like, why aren't they now married in real life with a little child while she plays in the WNBA? Now I'm offended.
I was so sad about that, and I couldn't even look up how they would like break up. I was like, I can't. I'm gonna live in my fantasy.
Yeah, we don't need that sequel. We're just gonna leave it where it ended because that was a happy ending.
Now Omar Epps at the time was like the hot guy to like put in any movie, so he was kind of like an obvious pick, and he just was an athlete, so he kind of played basketball and picked it up himself. But he was also just playing basketball, which is also incredible.
That is cool.
You're gonna have to shut me up. I'm just gonna keep fangirling. I mean, I'm obsessed.
No, I like all of these fun facts.
Oh, man. So this came out in 2000. I was a freshman in high school. So, I always was an athlete, but I didn't really know what that would mean for my life. I just played sports because I was a hyper person and had to do something so I didn't get in trouble. And then playing in college, now watching it later, I was like, she gets it right.
Right. Where it was kind of like you have to fight for your spot as like the new person as a freshman, even though you made it.
And the recruitment, the pressure to get recruited, and then somebody saying the only reason you got the spot is because this person got pregnant, which by the way, that happens all the time. People are real mean that way.
Yeah.
And then you're getting benched, and then there isn't a lot of college sports that you can take you to the next level. And the WNBA only became kind of real in like 1996.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering when the WNBA kind of started to become a thing, because
Yeah.
the movie made it sound like it didn't exist until the very end when she was actually in it. And then I was like, wait, okay, so it does exist. So like, why?
But that's real because she was, when she was 11, that didn't exist. It really didn't.
Yeah. Did you read anything about because I was curious to know too if like the whole parts where a lot of these college women basketball players then went to play in other countries, which is interesting. And I didn't know if that was true.
Oh yeah, that's really true. In Europe respects basketball way more than the US. And this is like a real question. Like, what do you do as a college athlete? Like, there's only so many professional leagues.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's really what happens. They really go overseas and then they realize, well, what the frig am I doing here? It's a physical sport, right? So I have a shelf life. What's the plan to be so far away from family? Like, it still holds up. It's incredible.
I just feel like they covered a lot of what I would imagine are issues and conversations that would come up if you were someone who was good and was playing a college sport.
Yeah.
So like the whole, should I, with Quincy, where he's like, I want to go to the NBA. And then it was the whole thing of like, don't go too soon.
Yeah.
You should get an education first because what if like you're not going to be able to play forever? And of course he ends up getting hurt because he goes to the NBA like really quickly and that's like a thing. And then even with Monica, when she just like goes overseas and she's like, this is so cool, but also I'm really lonely and like I literally don't speak the language. Like she didn't speak Spanish. She didn't understand Spanish at all. She had to go ask her teammate, and then the teammate doesn't even translate the entire speech. She just says, we're gonna pass a ball to you. What?
Can you speak Spanish?
Un poco.
Were you paying attention to anything the coach was saying?
It was something about like years where it was like, this is the year. And something like that. That's all I got.
He just kept repeating that. And
un año.
Yeah, he was like, this is the year. And then at the end, he was like, if there's an opportunity, send it to Monica. Are you ready? And like, I kind of laughed at the way, like, again, the English US version is like, he just said to pass the ball to you. I'm like, well, that's not true.
There were other words being said for the past 20 minutes, ma'am.
But I mean, 7 months, you'd think you'd try to pick up some Spanish. But that kind of was part of her character of like, this isn't my plan. I don't want to be here. Why am I investing? I mean, you could argue like, well, it's respectful to like learn the language of the place you live, but
I just assume you would pick it up if you are genuinely living there. I mean, there's still a lot of free time I would imagine you have outside of the basketball profession, or she didn't even have like any friends either.
Oh, she kind of had that vibe.
I don't know.
Okay, you gotta critique it because I'm just gonna say how perfect it is.
Honestly, I feel like that was and I understood why they did it. I think they kind of made her more of a loner and didn't focus on her and friends necessarily because they were trying to focus on her interaction with Quincy because really there was like every opportunity basically it was them two interacting or whatever. So it wasn't like her and a friend. Anytime she had a conversation that was kind of relevant to that, it would really be with like the sister.
Regina Hall? Are you kidding me?
Dude, she's in all the scary movies. And I know she's in other things, but like we love her.
Oh my
Especially
God.
in Scary Movie 3. # Brenda was my Spalding. Thank you.
And Gabrielle Union and Tyra Banks.
And Tyra Banks surprised me. I was like, girl! You want to be on top.
You're obsessed with that still, right?
So I watched every season up to season like 15, and then I had to quit because
you
started to hurt
break
me.
Up with Tyra?
Yeah. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it anymore. But yeah, she was there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I do think like you mentioned it being relatable in the beginning. The fact that Quincy wanted so bad to be his dad and like, his dad tried to be perfect in front of him and obviously sucked.
Yep.
It's a really interesting question on how you couple motivation. So like basketball for him was about like, I want to beat my dad. I think he even says that. And once he doesn't really respect his dad, then he's like, what do I do?
Right.
It's such a relatable. Everyone's had that like arc of crisis where they're like, oh God, what does this all mean to me?
Right.
And she had the same thing with him. Like, when you're not in my life as my lover or whatever, what is basketball? It becomes hollow. It's like,
I know. I think
it.
even when they were kids, and you kind of get to see, like, from an 11-year-old's perspective, how they think about it, and where they're both like, I'm going to be in the NBA, and I'm going to be the best because I'm a little kid, and I think I am the best ever. And then the kid talks about, like, I'm going to go play for the Clippers, and, like, blah, blah. And then there's that scene as it's closer to the end where Monica and Quincy are talking, and she's like, you know, it's really easy to, like, sit back and dream about, like, what your life could be, but, you know, most times that doesn't end up happening. And she kind of just mentions it like that. And of course, at that point, Quincy is like, I have a torn ACL, woman, and I am in pain, and I can't play, but I wish I could. It was just so good. And even, like, I felt like they did the kids realistic.
Yes.
Because it was like, I'm an 11-year-old boy. Girls can't play basketball. That is... I gotta tell you, Bridge, I'm gonna take a sip before I say this, because it's been so long since I had to actually experience this because of COVID. When life was normal in my school, I would often try my best to be available during the recess times. In my school, you wanna know why? You wanna know what Katie had to do most times?
Why, Kate?
Most times, Katie would have to do conflict resolution with little boy children who are arguing over basketball games that are not real basketball games, because it's recess and there's only 20 minutes. That's what I would have to do. So, like, I'm watching this scene and I'm like, this is so real. I'm having, like, PTSD flashbacks because I'm seeing the trash talk and I'm seeing, like, I'm gonna push you and now you're falling on the ground and you're bleeding. But, like, I didn't push him. You know, like, it was just done very well.
She gets the scar. And then they roll down the hill. Did you ever have to stop kids from rolling down a hill?
There's no hills, so thankfully not. But I'm sure if we did have a hill, that would come up. But even just the whole, like, very stereotypically, it's stereotypically a sport that boys tend to gravitate towards. And a lot of times what I've noticed is girls being reluctant to play. And I've even had conversations with some girls being like, girl, get in there. Here, I'll get you a ball. I'll steal you a ball or something. And, like, don't be afraid to play just because you're used to seeing mainly boys playing.
I'm so happy you're there for those girls, because I have to tell you, I definitely held back, like, when I wanted to as a kid. I have memories of that being like, I'll just sit on the sidelines because I'm not supposed to be out there.
And they talked about, like, the sexism a little bit, too.
My God.
And throughout.
Brilliantly.
And again, it was done very well because it wasn't, like, in your face every moment, every second. It was, like, and they did it in, like, such a good movie way because, again, they didn't always have to talk about it. They could just show you. So in the college, they're showing, oh, here's the boys' basketball game. It's in this huge arena.
Yep, everyone's
it's, like,
there.
The biggest, like, dramatic, you know, hoop-de-doo. And then for the girls' team, it's, like, in the this tiny, like, little bubble place where there's like 20 people sitting around.
That happens.
I will say though, I mean, I don't know if every college is like this, but I think of like Temple University and then I think of Rutgers, and they both, in my opinion, treated both teams pretty equally. And actually at Rutgers in the past couple of years, the women's basketball team was like undefeated and the men's basketball team was the worst. So usually the women's team would be getting more of the crowd in that setting. I don't know what it is this year.
Did you see them play Temple?
I know, I was like, Temple, mate!
The jerseys were so old, I was like, oh!
They were, but it was like, I was like, that's the same colors, the same writing, like, oh, Temple made. I wish Stella the Owl was there. She'd probably be freaking out. Oh, I love it.
So I think college, when you go to that college, people will show up to those games. But there aren't guys making stats of the WNBA if they don't go to that college. And that's still a Spalding problem today.
Yeah.
Because they're all athletes. They're all incredibly talented. And I think the thing that she kept trying to convey to him is like, one, it's not that easy for me as a woman, but also it's not that easy for me because I haven't been able to have a dad in the NBA show me how I get autographed and show, and, you know, and what was so interesting, and actually this is like, I totally believe this as an athlete, because he was carefree, he was kind of better because he didn't have this like unnecessary pressure on him him of like, don't screw up. And for her, she was a ticking time bomb. I'm like, oh my God, the one move, I ruined my entire college career.
Right.
Like he never had to worry. And that's what gave him that like grace.
Yeah.
And that is so
Spalding.
real for women that's in athlete positions, because you're just like, everyone's trying to navigate it. And then just women in general are pitted against each other. So then you get a whole nother level of that where men get to kind of like dance and show off. So it's just had a note of like the timing in this movie is perfect.
Yep.
The topics shifted. The, okay, I'm watching you grow up at this age shifted. The themes shifted. It had this beautiful balance. Like, it was perfect.
Yeah. Because I agree with the whole, like, Quincy was clearly a little more privileged in comparison to Monica, like you said, with the whole dad thing. And I feel like that kind of, even though, yes, the whole falling out with the dad, you could say added to him deciding to go pro early or whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like he would have done that anyway, honestly. Even if it wasn't at that moment in time, I still got the vibe that, like, he ain't graduating college. Like, he's just gonna leave, Yeah. But it was just very interesting to kind of see it that way and to hear her, like, call him out on it. And even though she called him out on it, it also didn't turn into, like, a big, like, that wasn't part of their big argument thing. That was, like, just a conversation they were having. And she even pointed out the whole fact where, like, in high school, he was like, oh, well, you get so mad. And she was like, that's, like,
Spalding.
because a man can get mad and then it's no big deal and they just like, people laugh about it, but because I'm a woman and I get mad and I show emotion, it's like a big issue and I get a foul or something stupid like that. And she was like, it's double standard.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about...
The glasses are down.
That part where they break up.
Oh. I was more mad at Quincy.
Quincy? Good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank God, because I was going to be so angry if you were not mad at him.
No, I was mad at her at first, and she should have, like, acknowledged it to him. She was a little late on the acknowledgement, so I get where he got mad, but he was a child. He just reacted insane. And then I thought it was so crazy to be like, well, I'm going pro, and I'll probably move around depending on who picks me, which means I have to move to different states, so I guess we should break up. And I'm just like, how dare you? I am in this relationship too.
I felt like he was more placing the blame on them breaking up for the fact that she wasn't there for him. And his representation of her not being there, in quotation marks, was she had to get back for curfew. And then he was like, well, you care more about basketball than me. I'm sorry. And then she has a good point. She's like, I have never made you choose between the two.
Yep.
So that's
Spalding.
You're making me choose. And he doesn't really answer the question. He deflects like a baby boy. And it was nonsense. And then later on, she like apologizes for that. And I got angry and I was like, don't apologize. Don't apologize for him being a little
Spalding.
baby. No. No. That's not what you do.
The girl at the party, okay, whatever, you're drunk and you're being a jerk. But then she's coming over to the apartment and you're gonna introduce me to her? I mean, I'm throwing a glass across the room. Like, I'm sorry. And she was so calm about it.
She was like, I'll just leave. I was like, I would not have handled it that way. I wish I handled it that way, but I probably wouldn't have. I would have flipped a lid.
I would have flipped a lid and I would have said to that woman, come walk with me. Did you two have sex? I need to know the details. We need to know what's happening. And she said no.
Bridget's like, let's have an interview. Here's some coffee. I'm ready to go.
Okay, you didn't? Okay, fine. You move on with your merry little day. I'll get back to you. Go, girl. See you later. You probably didn't know. You over there, Quincy, take a seat. And I just lose it. Oh,
well,
God.
And then he tries to use that to be like, oh, I was just trying to get your attention. No, that's also a dirty, dirty line. I don't believe that for a hot second. You're trying to get her attention from basketball, even though she came over to see you after basketball. What are you talking about? What is any of that talking about? Like, it was such...
Spalding.
It was...
Spalding.
And then her whole thing of like, how do I know you're not just gonna mess around again? We gotta trust you. And he's like, I'm not asking for us to be together. I was like,
yeah. That is what it is. And then he's like, let's still be friends. And then she made this like really ridiculous face. And I was like, yeah, that's the face to make.
I loved her last question. She was like, so you're just gonna forget about you and me? Like, she's like, we're in a movie. This is an epic love of all
it's
time.
Called Love and basketball. Like, you just gonna get rid of the love part?
It's not end basketball. No one's watching that movie.
There's more to it, Quincy.
In capital letters, I write, what an
Spalding.
He totally was, and that bothered me a little. But I mean, at the same time, sorry, men, I could see someone doing that because sometimes y'all are really dumb.
Well, he didn't really struggle, right? Like, that was why he was so fragile, because he never really had to do what she
he's privileged.
Yeah, she got like layers and layers and layers of like every challenge her way, and so she was kind of like used to getting
Spalding.
on. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I just felt like this was the first time that he had like something tough and his whole world just like crumbled.
Yeah. I just didn't believe the argument that he was like, you care more about basketball than me. I'm like, but like, I see both of you equally in this movie editing, and like, I don't get it. You know, it's not like she was blowing him off for basketball stuff. We didn't see any of that.
No.
So that was kind of stupid, in my opinion.
Can we talk about how movies should take a cue? I'm going to go in a completely different direction.
Okay.
Movies should take a cue for losing virginity scenes from this scene. We didn't see their whole body.
No, thankfully.
We didn't see a naked body. It wasn't like over the top sexual. It was very raw, very simple, very consent.
I was going to say, I actually wrote that. I was like, good job, Quincy, asking for consent, A+.
And the condom.
I wrote that too. I was like, okay, good job, Quincy. Safe sex is the best sex.
Yeah. Well, that's, again, ahead of your time, because all these other movies are like, you're hot. And then it's basically looking at the woman's boobs, right? But again, a woman wrote this, so here we go.
Right.
It's obviously better that way. And you wouldn't even see a condom. You would just see like crazy stuff happening and like an orgasm face. They didn't have to do any of that. It was just beautiful. I loved it.
And that condom helped Monica remain in her freshman basketball position, because without such, she may have gotten pregnant and then
Like
another
Tanya.
person would have been scouted. You see? Lessons learned. Wait, and that scene was also the song that you were talking about last time, wasn't it? Where it was like... I just want to point out, I downloaded the whole Love and Basketball soundtrack already. It's on Spotify. I'm good to go. I'm ready for it.
This is the best soundtrack.
It was really good.
It was perfect. I think it was part of what made this movie perfect.
Yeah. And in basketball itself, there's always music playing anyway, so that helped. Because then you got to play a lot of like fun, upbeat songs, you know, even though a lot of the movie was more of a drama.
What was fun is there wasn't like self-pity, right? Because it was like, you gotta go play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like the music kind of like brought her energy up.
Yep.
And how about that dance? Ooh,
oh, I know.
Friday
I was like,
night.
now
Ooh,
I feel like I'm in the
party
90s.
poppin'. Ooh, feeling right. Gabrielle Union with that dress. Ooh.
Jock jams right up in here, and I'm all about this life, and it's great. Yeah, that was a cool dress. I liked it. I mean, it was a little like, I'd be worried about, you know, eating, and I would definitely probably eat something if there was food there, and it's all white, so like... Careful. Just, you know, be careful with that. If you don't have a Tide pen.
Bring your Tide pen.
Yo, her date was hot.
I also read that one of the movie sponsors was Nike.
Oh,
and
well.
The line that Gabrielle Union says is, damn girl, I didn't know Nike made dresses.
So
or whatever.
Rude.
Wait,
yes.
but then that's what inspired Nike to actually make dresses. Literally, that it was part of like the shift, because they kind of like saw her wear it. Everybody like thought she still looked beautiful and it still like fit her.
But that wasn't an actual Nike dress.
No, but it was like part of like that test, and they realized like, oh my god, why wouldn't we make dresses for like people like Monica? And that like shot off them making dresses. But Gabrielle Union is, oh boy, she's fast and forward.
I love, hold on, I wrote a line. Monica, when she's carpooling with Quincy, but this is before the dance, and she has the note from Gabrielle Union that she's supposed to give to Quincy, and she like tells him about it. He's like, what? Let me see it. And she's like, no, I'm gonna read it, whatever. And then she reads it and it was like something stupid like, oh, I'll make, all your dreams come true or some dumb.
I'll keep you satisfied.
Oh,
That's
that was
what she
it.
says.
And then she Monica laughs about it. And then she was like, she's sending her
Spalding
through the mail. That was so funny. I was like, that's pretty hysterical. I love it. And then he makes the joke, who you going to the dance with? Spalding.
Yes. I think we talked about that in like the last episode because of
Castaway.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh god. And it's so cute that she was always like stupid,
Yeah.
Or big head. I don't know.
I mean, he did have a big head. He was very cocky.
But he didn't get to the point that I didn't like him. I was rooting for both.
No, I liked him. I liked him because he was like with Monica. Like seeing him with Monica, I was like, oh, I like that. Except when he breaks up with her for no reason that I don't like. That's pretty lame.
Yeah. Okay, but how about... Okay, Kate, this is you. You're Monica. You have this basketball career. It's 2 weeks before the love of your life is going to get married to somebody else. Now, you've been in Barcelona. You haven't really had connection. You heard they got hurt, so you saw them at a hospital, but then you found out they're engaged. Do you play a one-on-one game? Because 2 weeks to a wedding? That is like...
I guess if I was feeling the way she was feeling, yeah. Now, if I had Katie's basketball talent, I would have lost, immediately. I would have, the ball would have popped somehow. Yeah, it's never good at basketball.
Did you say the ball would have popped?
Yes, somehow. Bear would run on the court and just play with it and then it would explode or something. We'd be like, well, that's it.
My dream would be you alley-ooping to Bear and he noses it in for the
dunk. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, there's so many aspects to this entire movie that I feel like they nailed and it held up.
What did you think with the whole subplot of Monica's, I'm going to say parents, because it really was more of the parent relationship, which was interesting.
Well, okay, I'll be honest. At times I felt like Monica was a little out of line because she made her mom the source of frustration. And
right.
I understand that. There is something about how I get at the end when she explains you never stood up for yourself. That's what made me so mad about you. Not that you're prissy. You got it so wrong. You always thought it was about that. It was about you don't care about yourself. And her mother, ironically, was like, well, I always loved that you fought for the things you wanted and you were authentic. And so it was almost like they were too similar in contrast that made them fight a lot. So yeah. I just felt like Monica's mom would say lines that were clearly she shouldn't say. But I also felt it was weird for her to tiptoe around Monica when she's Monica comes home, Quincy dumps her, she's in the worst mood of her life, and the mom's literally just going shopping.
Yeah, she's like, hey, I just got home, and then she's like, never mind, I'm backing out right now, and I'm gonna go to dinner. See ya. I was like, wait, what? What? Didn't you just, what's happening?
But I feel like Monica every single time is you always say the wrong thing, and I'm like, well, at this point, shouldn't you know she's never gonna say the thing you want?
Right.
But she also was 23 by this time?
Yeah, young 20s.
So, I get it. You still maybe you don't figure those things out yet.
But the mom's whole perspective of it was, because when Monica's you never stood up for yourself, you could have been a caterer, and you could have had your own business, you could have done so many things, and you didn't because you wanted to please dad. And then the mom's perspective was well, actually, my plans changed. She's but I was really happy being a mom. And she was and I was happy that I was able to be there for certain things, your dance. And of course she references it was when you were really pretty and girly, and instead of being I was there for all your basketball games, because she wasn't.
That was a negative. Here's my PSA to anyone that is a parent. Go to your kids' games. Go to every single game. I'm sorry, try to get to every single game.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It's better than the other way around. It's better to say, oh, they don't need me there. Every kid needs you there. Just go. Just go.
Yeah.
That scene when she's come on, Monica, come on, pass the ball, don't mess up. And she sees Quincy in the side of her eye, and then she sees her parents in the side of the eye, and then that is how it really feels, right?
Yeah.
When you're in a game, and for whatever reason, you always can radar the person who is important to you.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right? You're in the middle of a game. How do you multitask that?
I really like that scene because I think, and you said it earlier, it was oh, for Quincy, it's easy easy. Everything's so simple and like I don't need to stress. But like for her, she often did. And I feel like that scene was just kind of showing like the culmination of the pressure she was putting on herself because she was like, this is the last game. Haven't been recruited yet. There's a recruiter here now. I'm the captain. It's championship game. Like everything's on the line. And like there's the last couple seconds and we're tied and I have the ball, blah, 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 blah. And I like felt stressed.
Oh my god. And then hysterically crying because she lost it.
No.
That's a real reaction because to you, this is the biggest thing in the world. Now, okay, I do think one additional edit with the college team, they kind of ragged on her as a freshman. Like,
yeah, I was like, this is hazing.
Personally, I don't think that happens. People don't. That wasn't my experience.
Yeah.
And I feel like, if anything, you actually get seniors like really being kinder to the freshmen because they know like they're done next year and they're just like trying to cultivate more of like a mentor coach role. And so I was like, I get if the one woman who you're going to steal her spot wants to have beef with you, fine, but not the rest of them.
And was she the only freshman or were there other freshmen? I was confused about that.
There were other freshmen.
Oh, I felt like they just calling her freshman. And I was like, but what about the other? Is anyone else getting hazed or is it just her? Because if it's just her, that's definitely hazing and that's a problem.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the scene when she's lifting and the girl like doesn't spot her and then the weight goes on her chest.
Ugh.
That's not happening today. There's a lifting coach. And by the way, that girl would be like suspended from the team for like 2 weeks if you did crazy stuff like that.
I called that girl rude teammate. That was her name in my notes, so I knew who was who. I have no idea. I just called her rude teammate. And then even when she, met up with Monica later in life, and she was on the Italian women's basketball team, and she played the Barcelona team, whatever, and they had dinner, I was like, yeah, now she's out to dinner with the rude teammate. They're talking boys and whatever, and she's still a little rude to me, but...
Okay, her name was Citra. That's what I found.
Citra? That sounds like an X-Men character, but alright.
But it's like, it is great that Monica like won too.
And she had the trophy. She's like, are you gonna take that off the table? And she's like, oh, this? You want me to take this down?
That was great. But that's like, it's a shame to me that the Omar Epps of the world, the Quincy's of the world, there are a lot of like incredible athletes that leave college to go pro because the college is like this really beautiful bubble, like a nice bubble that like you don't have to move state to state.
Right.
There's no money that is so life-changing that there's a different type of like, now it's work. Like it's still fun.
Yeah.
And I felt like Monica showed that.
Mm-hmm.
Her and Citra talked about that. Like, what do you do after?
Right. Because there's nothing like it. Yeah.
There's nothing like it. So you better just enjoy it when you're in it.
I kind of feel like that if anyone is like involved with any type of activity in college, it's like if you leave it early, like life isn't going to be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the ending. So he breaks his knee or something, or
he tears his ACL.
Yeah, ACL. So that happens, and then he's in the hospital, and she goes to visit, and then I love how they just like, they weren't too awkward either, because I mean, they were kind of like going easy on each other, but they were still kind of like making fun of each other and doing little jabs. And then Tyra comes in.
Thank you. She pulled the card.
Oh, I know.
Monica. My fiance, I was like, oh, get out of here.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. Before she even comes in, Quincy says the part that was, again, it wasn't blown out of proportion or in your face. It was very simple, but it kind of gave you a lot of backstory and exposition. He was like, I've tried to call you.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I left you messages. And I didn't know if because she was like, oh, it must be my stupid answering machine. But do you think, like, did she really get the messages? And she just didn't want to answer?
I think she ignored him.
Okay. That's what I thought too, but I wasn't sure.
Because, he messed up. So she had this, like, I'm going to go to Barcelona and do this and that. But I think she started to, have that moment in her apartment of, like, I'm so lonely.
Yeah.
That she made that connection to him, where maybe when he called, she's, like, getting autographs in Spain, and she's like, oh, screw him. I'm still kicking ass,
Spalding.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I got.
I like how they added that because you kind of didn't know a lot of, like, what he was feeling about it. You just knew he's getting married, and, like, he's talking to her every now and then, but it's also kind of circumstantial because they're neighbors, and I guess he was living back at the home home, the parents' home. I didn't really get that either. I don't know.
Oh, so he said, one, I think because they were getting married, there's the one scene where he's cleaning out his, like, childhood room. Okay, I can believe it, because you're gonna go move in together. Okay, fine, I'm believing it. Then the second time, because she's a stewardess, so she was away, and he's like, I was just gonna hang out with my mom.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, I just came back to hang out with my mom.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, okay, I believe that too. Because think about it, this is still like 24, 25 age, right?
Yeah.
So I believe that you're going back and hanging out.
I didn't know if he was, like, living there, though. I was like, wait.
No, I think it was just like, I'm just gonna go chill for a bit.
Gotcha. Okay.
But, like, they made it so good that he wasn't, like, hunting for Monica. But
No, that's what I mean. Like,
her.
you really didn't know if he was gonna want to get back with her.
No idea. No idea.
You really didn't until the very, very, very end. So good.
And then, because, you know, basketball is not the same to him as it is for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for her, it's their love affair. For him, it's his frustration with his dad. So when he starts to beat her, and then you're just like, oh God, he doesn't love her, like, this is it. It's because, like, for him, basketball is a source of frustration because his knee and his life choices and his career. And, like, I think he started to, like, get out of that funk and be like, oh yeah, I totally love this girl, but I just didn't, I don't connect it the way she does. But yet I still love basketball. And
yeah,
if anybody has a person in their life that can keep you honest when you're full of
Spalding,
that is your Quincy. Because that's what made them the best.
Right.
Is like, he's like, why don't you love it? And then she was like, it's you. You're not here.
I know. No, so cute.
I'm so happy that you, like, came over to the dark rom-com side, because
I think I've honestly always really liked this movie, but it's really been a while since I watched it. And it was one of those movies that, because sometimes, you know, listeners, sometimes we watch movies on here and it feels like the movie's very long, and this movie does not feel that way, in my opinion. I was like, how did 2 hours pass already? Like, I felt like I just started watching this because I was so involved with it. Oh my gosh.
And how about the mom peeping out the window where she's like, ooh, Tyra Quincy, ooh. I thought that was kind of funny.
She's just being a creepy mom.
Like, comedy was kind of subtle in this movie.
But then she does plant the seed then, because she says, you know, when I was saying that girl wasn't good enough for Quincy, I meant that, you know, you were better.
I was talking about you when I said you could do better.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks for the peer pressure.
Did you like the mom? Like, what was your take on her character?
Yeah, I didn't like the things she said about, oh, you're not acting like a girl and blah blah, because that's stupid. You know what bothers me about that is, like, I honestly feel like it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing that women are held to different beauty standards.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, the mom then goes on this whole spree where she's like, you're beautiful, you're always beautiful. And it's like, okay, but if you feel that way, then don't shame her for not dressing in dresses or, like, having her hair, you know, look a certain way. I mean, those seem kind of opposite, because when you're saying messages about how she looks, that's kind of being construed as, like, you don't look good.
Yeah.
And if you don't really feel that way and you think she does look good, then don't say, like, comments about how she dressed.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only thing I didn't like, and I could see that happening with any mom in this type of setup, unfortunately. I even think of, like, other sports movies, like Bend It Like Beckham. That was a whole subplot with Keira Knightley's mom, where the mom was like, my daughter's a lesbian because she plays soccer and wears sports bras. And you're like, what? That's pretty stupid. Like, sports bras were made only for women.
You know what you're making me think of? There needs to be, like, a lesbian version of Love and Basketball.
There might be, for all we know.
I hope there is, and Marcus122, please inform us. I want to talk about one other thing.
Yeah.
Especially in the year we've had and just in general. But this movie didn't have to center people who happen to be black around race, because the movie had all black people in it.
Yep.
And I feel like that 2000 era, we're just starting to have more diversity in some of those movies. And this was finally, like, a mainstream movie where it didn't have to be a topic. Because when it was quick. It felt like, it's like how, you know, gay men their entire life have to watch, like, heterosexual couples fall in love, and they're like, well, when the frickin' am I going to be represented?
Right.
And I mean, think about it, 21 years ago. I mean, this has been around for a long time, and I wish, which unfortunately it didn't, I wish that they had a bunch of other movies after this that had that same kind of experience, and it didn't.
Well, because there's definitely certain directors, I think, that kind of go with that, where it's not centered on necessarily race, but there's maybe a primarily black cast. But unfortunately, the only director I'm thinking of that comes to mind is Tyler Perry. And I don't know, Bridget, if you've seen a Tyler Perry movie, but, like, they hurt me. And I don't think they are very good. And I don't think that's just me. Like, I think that's kind of a consensus. So that's a shame. But yeah, I agree. And again, I think that kind of added to the realness of it, because they were just going about their lives, and their lives were, that wasn't something that was kind of brought up in the same way that it perhaps would have been if it was, oh, I lived in a neighborhood with, you know, primarily white families, or I went to a college and it was, you know, and even the coach, it was like, she was a white coach, but like, I just felt like she was coach, because like everyone was kind of in the same lines with that.
So many like brilliant people wrote about this, and one woman did this whole article about how the upper middle class made it a difference. Like,
yeah, it wasn't about like poverty crime
and victims and just like, oh, let's do an old slave movie. It's like, no, this is just, there are millions of people having this experience and they should be represented.
Yep.
And what made it so interesting is like the writer, director, lead was this woman who said, I don't have a movie about me and I want it there. And, you know, I kind of didn't know why she didn't pick track, since that's what she did in college, but
yeah, that
she
is
also loves basketball too. So that must have been where, I don't know, it probably just flowed better, but...
Well, I think at basketball, it's a little easier to kind of convey the, I'm gonna go pro, because like track...
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, I'm sure there's like a pro track team, where there's like the
Probably.
Olympics, I guess, but that's not as common as like NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, listen, Katie, who is not a rom-commer,
woo!
I give it 2 thumbs up.
And there's only 2. So
and there's only 2, so that's all of them, if you didn't know how to count.
Yeah, I clearly give it 18 thumbs up. I'm obsessed. I was obsessed as a kid. I was obsessed. And you know what's funny? Moses was like, oh, what movie did you guys do? And I'm like, Love and Basketball. And I forgot, Katie, I made him watch this with me when we went home. Okay, the old house that we had. I guess there was like a DVD down there. And I was like, let's just do something different. And I was like, do you want to watch this DVD or VHS of Love and Basketball?
Oh my God.
He was like, yeah, that was a really good movie.
I
forgot we watched that together. Like, I've been pushing this movie, and now I have like a formal platform to just talk about my love. So thank you so much for letting me just fangirl out.
Yes. And you don't need to know about basketball much or anything, or even be a fan.
No, it can relate to your version of whatever that sport is for you, or activity, or whatever, you know?
Yes. And it's on Hulu right now. Did you watch this on Hulu? I forgot to tell you that.
Man, no, I'm just paying. I'm such an idiot.
Sorry, I'll tell you next time.
Well, that's my fault. I have the internet. I could figure it out. I'm just an idiot. Is this a quote movie? We don't get a quote from Dad. I mean, because...
I didn't even try, because I'm assuming he's gonna go, what?
Yeah,
with
like that might be more
eyes.
like teeny bopper. He doesn't even know what's happening.
He doesn't know what's happening with that one. So I'm thinking, no.
I get that. But are you going to tell me about your pick for yourself?
Yes.
Ooh!
I did a lot of, I guess, research. I was trying to figure out what direction I wanted to go in, because, you know, my taste is sometimes different than yours. And I actually went back and forth between picking, there was like a family friendly. Well, there were 2 family friendlies I was considering. And then I came across this one and I was like, you know what? I want this one, because this one is a comedy. And it's probably listed as something else. It's like crime mystery. It's a comedy, let's be honest. And I wanted a movie where I knew I wasn't going to cry, because like I did have a lot of tears happening in this one. So I wanted to, and like Castaway, like we had Castaway 2, and that was another one where I was like, oh, I have a lot of feelings. So this is no sad feelings. So this movie, very good movie. It's it's rated PG. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because It should not have been PG.
Oh.
Came out in 1985. It was
Whoa.
based off of a game.
Oh.
We're gonna watch
Stay tuned.
Clue. How is Stay Tuned a game?
I got that wrong.
What game is that?
Wait, Clue? The
Clue.
Original 1985. Because wasn't there a remake or was there only one?
There's only one.
There's
Thank
only
God. One day there will be a remake and it's going to make me so angry and it's probably going to be by Tim Burton and it's going to make me really upset. And Johnny Depp's going to be in it and I'm going to hate it. So.
Oh, wow. You sound like a fortune teller. That was in 1985?
Yes. I know. I actually thought it was going to be earlier than 80s, but nope, 85.
Oh, I'm excited.
I love this movie. I remember watching this a lot as a kid. I don't know why. That's a little weird, I think, for a kid, but I thought it was great.
You had such, older movie tastes as a kid.
Because of, Dad and, you guys, the siblings and everything.
I know.
Well, of course, we've got Tim Curry, so... Tim Curry, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, who I actually really like Michael McKean.
Wow.
Madeline Kahn, she's great. Mrs. White. Oh my God, there's so many good people. It's so good.
Wow.
This is also on Amazon Prime, so don't hurt yourself, okay? Just so you know, just to prepare.
I'm ready.
And we will definitely get a quote for this. This will be a quote one from Dad.
He'll have paragraphs of this one.
Yeah.
Oh, Kate. Well, I dropped my notes, so I forgot.
I was waiting for the big reveal. Okay. Well, Bridge, if you were in the last quarter of the game and you had to, run down the court with the ball and you're looking at your, lover over there and your parents over there and this couch you got over there and you're talking in your head and you go and the other teammate's about to get in your way and steal the ball, I would go foul them. I would just go tackle them and disrupt the game and maybe that would help or not. I don't know. That's what I would do.
Now I'm envisioning you being like, and then I'll streak across the court and create a diversion, and then I'll cheerlead style.
Oh, that would be a diversion.
I will tell you, I know that we had rooms next to each other, but I would totally open my window for you if you ever wanted to sleep on my floor.
Oh, that's nice.
Dawson's Creek style.
That's nice. Yeah, they didn't even have to go up any ladders. That was pretty convenient. Good thing there's no robbers in this neighborhood.
Yeah, well, again, it's
people.
Affluent neighborhood, Oh, man. Thanks for indulging my love and basketball and love of basketball. And
listeners, if you also love basketball and then love and basketball and then love us, you should write us a review. We love reviews. We love written reviews. You can review us on Apple Podcasts. Probably some other places that I keep telling myself I'm gonna look up and know off the top of my head. I don't know. They're in there. Not Spotify though. I don't know why Spotify's weird like that. But go on there. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you like. We also have a website, sisterswhoseenit.com. You can request movies on there. You can leave us feedback. You can email us. All that good stuff. So make sure you get on there and do that so we can hear from you.
Do you know what my dream is?
What?
That we have as many reviews as we do episodes.
Okay, well, yeah, we're a little behind on that, but we're getting closer.
What if we, isn't that a huge milestone? If
that
we
would
can,
be cool.
Make it past the amount of episodes, I would feel like that's the greatest victory, because that, to me, would be we're on the right path.
That would be like going pro and not tearing your ACL when you're not really starting on the team. Yeah, that's that feeling.
Yeah, we'd have a bunch of Quincy's on the sidelines, and we'd be like, love you, Quince. And they'd be like, love you guys. We're like,
and Quincy's like, I'm holding my little toddler baby. That's really cute. And it's the end, and everyone's having a great time.
Do.
I don't know the song. Got the whole soundtrack on Spotify. Gotta listen to it soon. Yeah.
Kate, I love you and
love
basketball and all of you listeners. Swish.
Swish. Oh, snap.
Said the white girl.
Oh, snap. Well, I love you. Listeners, we love you. And we'll see y'all next week for Clue. Bring your...
muskets.
Bring your what?
Candlesticks? I don't know.
Yes, you can bring a candlestick. That's a murder weapon, so I'm afraid.
Okay. Ooh,
I was going to say,
that.
like, bring a notebook to, like, take notes on the mystery.
But...
I'm not sure. I don't remember how to play Clue. So
bring your pieces.
Bring your pieces. Okay. All right. We love you.
Goodbye, listeners.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Sisters Who've Seen It. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at sisterswho'veseenit.com, where you can email us, request movies to be reviewed, and keep up to date with all things sisters. Also, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next week.